Imagine living your whole life in the shadow of not just one, but two musical legends. Your father is credited as a founding father of rock and roll. Your adoptive mother becomes one of the most celebrated performers of all time. To the outside world, people expect you to shine just as brightly, to carry the family name like a crown. But instead, you spend your life battling chaos, tragedy, and pain that no one outside the family could ever truly understand. That's the heartbreaking story of Ike Turner Jr., a man who was born into music royalty but never escaped the ghosts of his past. He wasn't a superstar like Tina, nor a scandal maker like Ike Sr., but he lived a life that was every bit as dramatic, emotional, and tragic. Born in 1958, adopted by Tina Turner in 1962, and raised in the heart of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue, Ike Jr.'s childhood was anything but ordinary. From the outside, he was part of an electrifying family act that conquered the world. Behind closed doors, he was a boy growing up in one of the most turbulent celebrity households in music history. He witnessed abuse, addiction, and family breakdowns. He lived through unimaginable loss, watching his brothers and parents die one by one. And finally, after decades of carrying that heavy burden, his story ended on October 4, 2025, just one day after his 67th birthday. But before we dive deep into this emotional journey, let's pause. Backhand index pointing right if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to Celeb Riot and hit that bell icon, because we bring you the raw, unfiltered stories behind Hollywood and music's biggest names. And if you think Ike Turner Jr.'s story deserves to be heard, hit that like button so more fans can discover it. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Ike Turner Jr. was born on October 3, 1958, in East St. Louis, Illinois, a city with a rich music culture but also one of hardship. His father, Ike Turner Sr., was already carving his name into history. Known as a guitarist, bandleader, and producer, Ike Sr. was at the center of a movement that would eventually give birth to rock and roll. But Ike Jr.'s family situation was complicated from the very beginning. His biological mother, Lorraine Taylor, was not married to Ike Sr., and young Ike's childhood could have gone in many directions. Everything changed in 1962, when Tina Turner adopted him. From that moment, he was no longer just the son of Ike Sr., he became the son of Tina Turner, the future queen of rock and roll. Imagine being just a little boy and suddenly living in a household where music wasn't just background noise, it was the oxygen everyone breathed. Instead of playing on playgrounds, Ike Jr. was tagging along at rehearsals. Instead of bedtime lullabies, he fell asleep to the sound of band practice. His toys were drumsticks, his lessons were stage setups, and his classroom was the road. By all accounts, Ike Jr. was musically gifted. Family members said he could pick up instruments naturally. At first, he loved the drums, pounding rhythms with a natural groove. But Tina saw something more in him. She encouraged him to try the keyboards, believing it would open doors for him musically. She also made him earn his place, sometimes putting him to work helping roadies set up and tear down equipment. It was discipline disguised as chores, and it taught him the work ethic of a professional musician. By the late 1960s, he was already stepping onto the stage occasionally with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Just imagine, as a teenager, he wasn't sitting in class, he was opening for the Rolling Stones. While the world cheered for his parents, Ike Jr. was quietly trying to carve his own identity in their giant shadow. But behind the curtain, the story was very different. To fans, Ike and Tina were unstoppable. On stage, their chemistry was unmatched. They electrified crowds, topping charts and dazzling audiences worldwide. But at home, Ike Sr.'s temper and addictions created a world of fear and instability. Ike Sr. was known to use drugs heavily, and his violent behavior left lasting scars on everyone around him. Tina Turner's autobiography, I, Tina, revealed shocking details of the abuse she endured. Later, the 1993 film What's Love Got to Do with It brought those horrors to the big screen. For the world, it was shocking. For Ike Jr. and his siblings, it was simply their reality. Imagine being a child and witnessing the people you love most in constant conflict. Imagine being old enough to understand the applause on stage, but too young to process the chaos happening once the lights went out. For Ike Jr., life was a constant tug-of-war between the glamour of fame and the trauma of home. This duality shaped him forever. While fans saw glamour, he saw dysfunction. While fans saw music, he heard fights. And while the world cheered, he quietly carried emotional scars that never healed. And if you think growing up in the spotlight always means an easy life, this story proves otherwise. Hit like if you agree. By the mid-1970s, the cracks in Ike and Tina's marriage had become impossible to hide. In 1976, Tina finally made the bold decision to walk away. She left Ike Sr., leaving behind years of abuse, but also leaving behind the financial security of their partnership. For Ike Jr., still in his teens, this was a massive turning point. Instead of collapsing under the weight of family drama, he stepped up. For a short time, he worked as Tina's sound engineer. He traveled with her, helped with her shows, and tried to be part of her fresh start. It seemed like maybe, just maybe, he could have his own path alongside her. But the wounds from the past were too deep. Old resentments, misunderstandings, and pain got in the way. Eventually, their professional relationship ended. Tina went on to become one of the most iconic solo performers of all time. Ike Jr., on the other hand, quietly faded into the background. Fans often wonder, if they had stayed close, could his life have turned out differently? Could Tina have helped him find stability? It's one of those what-ifs that will always linger. Quick pause, if you're still with us, make sure you subscribe because we're not even halfway through Ike Jr.'s dramatic journey. Unlike his parents, Ike Jr. never became a household name. But that doesn't mean he wasn't talented. He built a career behind the scenes, working as a sound engineer, producer, and musician. His biggest career highlight came in 2006. He co-produced his father's comeback album Risin' with the Blues. It was a critically acclaimed project that actually won the Grammy Award for Best Traditional Blues Album. For Ike Jr., this wasn't just about music, it was about reconciliation. Working on that album gave him a rare chance to connect with his father before his passing in 2007. Later, Ike Jr. took part in tribute projects, especially honoring Tina after her death in May 2023. While he never stood in the spotlight, he became a quiet custodian of the family's musical legacy. He wasn't trying to be famous. He just wanted the music, and the Turner name, to live on. Sadly, tragedy haunted Ike Jr. at every stage of his life. In 2018, his half-brother Craig Turner, Tina's firstborn son, died by suicide. The loss devastated the family. Just 4 years later, in 2022, his brother Ronnie Turner passed away from colon cancer. Add to that the deaths of his father in 2007 and his mother in 2023, and you see how much grief surrounded him. It's hard enough for anyone to lose one close family member. Ike Jr. lost nearly all of them. He once described himself as being surrounded by ghosts. Friends said he was never the same after Craig's death, and each loss after that only deepened his sadness. For a man already struggling with his own demons, this chain of tragedies pushed him further into isolation. In 2023, the world was shocked again when Ike Jr. was arrested for crack cocaine possession and evidence tampering. The news broke just weeks before Tina Turner's death, and it felt like history repeating itself. To some fans, this was confirmation of the curse of the Turner family. To others, it was simply heartbreaking, a man weighed down by grief and trauma falling into the same traps as his father. The arrest was a sobering reminder, no matter how famous your last name is, no one is immune to struggles. If you think Ike Jr. deserved better, type "Rest in Peace Ike Jr." in the comments. On October 4, 2025, just one day after turning 67, Ike Turner Jr. passed away in Los Angeles. The official cause was kidney failure, worsened by years of heart disease and a stroke in September 2025. His body simply couldn't recover. His cousin, Jacqueline Bullock, Tina's niece, confirmed the news, explaining that his declining health and years of emotional strain finally took their toll. But she also emphasized that Ike Jr. lived with quiet dignity, never seeking the spotlight, and never giving up on the legacy of his family. On October 4, 2025, just one day after turning 67, Ike Turner Jr. passed away in Los Angeles. The official cause was kidney failure, worsened by years of heart disease and a stroke in September 2025. His body simply couldn't recover. His cousin, Jacqueline Bullock, Tina's niece, confirmed the news, explaining that his declining health and years of emotional strain finally took their toll. But she also emphasized that Ike Jr. lived with quiet dignity, never seeking the spotlight, and never giving up on the legacy of his family. So how do we remember Ike Turner Jr.? Not as a superstar. Not as a chart topper. But as a man who lived in the shadow of giants, carrying the weight of his family's fame, trauma, and tragedy. He wasn't perfect, far from it. He had his struggles, his arrests, and his demons. But he also had his moments of brilliance, like producing a Grammy-winning album, and his moments of resilience, like standing by Tina during her early solo career. His story is a reminder that behind every famous last name is a person with pain, struggles, and humanity. For Ike Jr., the music never left, it was in his blood. And though he didn't die a superstar, he died as part of one of the most legendary families in music history. What do you think? Was Ike Jr. overshadowed by his parents, or did he quietly carve his own path? Comment below with your thoughts. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to Celeb Riot for more stories that go beyond the headlines. Rest in peace, Ike Turner Jr.